Hello everyone, my name is Harsh Kumar and I'm starting a lecture series on polity. I'll be discussing some of the recent acts, major Supreme Court cases, okay, and subsequently we'll also discuss part 3, part 4 of Constitution, the major doctrines, etc. Okay, so today I'm starting with Aadhaar Act. Now this act has dominated the news for past 2-3 years. Okay. The major reason being that it was passed as a money bill, and also some of the implications of this act on right to privacy. Okay, so in this video, we'll discuss what is Aadhaar, we'll discuss some of its features, and some issues related to this act. Okay, what is Aadhaar? So everyone here might already have enrolled for Aadhaar. तो सबके पास आधार कार्ड होगा. If you look at the back of your Aadhaar card, you'll see there's your address written on it. Yeah, on the front side there's your picture, name, age, date of birth, etc. Okay, and it also has a number written in bold text. Okay, or it acts as your identity proof. कहीं भी जाओ, you can show your Aadhaar card for your identity, right? But that's the layman definition for Aadhaar. We'll look at how UIDAI has defined Aadhaar. Aadhaar or Aadhaar number, according to UIDAI, is a 12-digit random number issued by it to the residents of India after satisfying the verification process laid down by the authority. Any individual, irrespective of their age or gender, who is a resident of India may voluntarily enroll to obtain Aadhaar number. Okay, so already we can identify a few keywords from this definition. The first one is 12-digit random number. Now, when it says random, it means that the number is not assigned in any order. Okay, so it does not depend if you get your Aadhaar registered in 2012 or 2016, or you got your Aadhaar registered in Jammu Kashmir or Kerala. Okay, the number will never be able to, with just by the virtue of knowing someone's Aadhaar number, you cannot tell when it was enrolled or where it was enrolled. Okay, so it adds a layer of privacy, security to the privacy of this information. Okay. Now further it says that it is only available to the residents of India. Okay, so that means you don't need to be a citizen to get Aadhaar. If you're a resident, you can get Aadhaar. However, there is a verification process laid down by UIDAI. Okay, if you satisfy that verification process, you can get your Aadhaar number. Further, it says anyone can get an Aadhaar, be it a child or an adult or a senior citizen. Okay, it does not depend on someone's gender, including the third gender. And also that Aadhaar is voluntary in nature. So if you want, you can enroll in Aadhaar. The state cannot force you to enroll in Aadhaar. Okay. Now 2018 there's this question. If you have the full length print of Aadhaar, you can see it's written there also. It is not a proof of citizenship. So again, mentioning like even in the definition it says to residents. So Aadhaar is not a proof of citizenship, it is a proof of residence, it is a proof of identity. Okay. Next we see some salient features of the Aadhaar Act. Okay. So first of all, the title. It reads Aadhaar, Targeted Delivery of Financial and Other Subsidies, Benefits and Services Act 2016. So what do you learn from the title of the Act? That Aadhaar Act deals with targeted delivery of financial and other subsidies, benefits, or services. Okay. Next up, we have the preamble. Okay. Every act that is passed by the parliament has a preamble of itself, okay, where it tells the objective, the motive, the intention behind enacting an act. Okay. Just like the Constitution of India has a preamble which tells the objective of the Constitution, it tells the philosophy of the Constitution. Similarly, in this case, it is important to note the preamble to understand what is the reasoning behind the Aadhaar Act. And even Supreme Court has said on multiple occasions that while examining the constitutionality of an act, its title, its preamble will play an important role. Okay, they will be given substantial weightage while the Supreme Court is trying to interpret the constitutionality of an act. Okay, so the preamble of Aadhaar Act says it is an act to provide for as a good governance, efficient, transparent, and targeted delivery of subsidies, benefits, and service. The expenditure for which is incurred from the Consolidated Fund of India to individuals residing in India through assigning of unique identity number to such individuals and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Okay, so again we break this preamble down into some components. The first one is it is an act to provide good governance. What do you understand by good governance? Good governance deals with efficient, effective delivery of services. It is about transparent government, accountable governance. Okay, so basically it ensures that the benefits that the state is giving to the citizens are reaching them effectively in a transparent manner. Okay, so good governance helps in establishing welfare state, which is one of the objective of our constitution. Okay, now how does Aadhaar Act strive to provide good governance? By effective, transparent, and targeted delivery of subsidies. Okay, if you see this statement in the light of the inefficiencies in our public delivery system, so this act aims to attack that inefficiency. Okay, it aims to rectify that inefficiency by ensuring targeted delivery of services. Okay, so this will entail that the people who need the benefits, the people who need these services, okay, the lowest of the lowest, the Antyodaya, they get their due from the state. Okay, and in delivering these services and these benefits to them, we are establishing a welfare state. Okay, now the next major part is the expenditure of which is derived from the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, so this act deals with targeted delivery of such services, such subsidies, where the money has been taken out from the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay. Further, it says it is available to individuals residing in India through assigning of unique identity number, which is the Aadhaar number. And finally, matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Now, government is
preparing Aadhaar cards for everyone. Okay, so it is storing your data. So when it's storing your data, it needs a storage facility. Okay, when it has launched a massive program like Aadhaar, there must be some grievance redressal to it, some body regulating it. Okay, so matters incidental thereto will cover these matters. Okay, the ones which are not directly related to good governance, but the ones which are related to the functioning of Aadhaar. Okay, its regulation, its safeguards, etc. Continuing further, we will see some of the sections of the Act that are important for Aadhaar. Okay, so first of all, Section 2. Section 2 provides important definitions. Okay, so every act has some terms used, some institutions created, okay, that might be repeated, or some keywords basically. Okay, just like Article 12 of our Constitution defines state, Article 13 defines law. So similarly, Aadhaar Act defines certain keywords. Okay, first of them is authority. So authority within this act will always mean UIDAI. Okay, that is the Unique Identification Authority of India. It has been created under Aadhaar Act, and any use of word authority will point towards UIDAI. Next up, we have biometric information, which is defined under Section 2G. Biometric information includes photographs, fingerprints, iris scan, or any other attributes as may be specified in the regulation. Okay, and so it will include any biometric. It can include your DNA, it can include other biometric identification a person has. Okay, Section 2G relates to the core biometric information. So the difference between biometric and core biometric information is that core biometric information is more related to privacy of an individual. As you can see, it includes fingerprints, iris, or any other attributes, but it does not include photograph. Okay, so your fingerprints are more private to you than your photograph. फोटो तो लोग इंस्टाग्राम पे खींच के लगा देते हैं. तुम चल रहे हो रैंडमली, किसी ने रोड का क्लिक किया तो योर फेस कम्स, बट अपना फिंगरप्रिंट कोई नहीं लगाता है इंस्टाग्राम पे और एनी अदर such social media. So fingerprints, your iris scan, DNA will also come under core biometric information only. So these are more private to an individual. Okay, so biometric information is a superset which includes core biometric information. So in other words, a core biometric information is a biometric information, but all biometric information are not core biometric information. Okay, you'll see further in this act that core biometric information is given a higher protection compared to biometric information. And Section 2H defines Central Identities Data Repository, which will act as a central database to all Aadhaar related data, okay, such as your demographic details, your Aadhaar number, your biometric details, and others. Okay, so Section 2 is related to what? It defines some keywords. Now, the major talking point in Section 2 is biometric information and core biometric information. Okay, I hope it's clear to everyone. Now, Section 7. Section 7 of this Act has been called as the heart and soul of the Act. Okay, we'll read what it talks about. So, Section 7 empowers the government, both at center and state, that they may, for the purpose of establishing identity as condition to receive the subsidy, benefit, or service, expenditure of which is from the consolidated fund, require the individual to undergo authentication. Okay, so we'll break it down. The government may, for the purpose of establishing identity. So the first keyword is may. It does not say must, it says may. So it is up to the government. Okay. Aadhaar Act does not by itself allows use of the biometric details, the demographic details, okay, your Aadhaar number. It does not directly allow the use of such information to avail subsidy, benefit, or service. What it does is it empowers the government that it may pass a law. Okay, it may pass a law for availing these services upon Aadhaar authentication. What services? Services whose expenditure is from the consolidated fund. Okay, and Aadhaar. So Aadhaar will be used as a authentication to authenticate someone's identity, that the right person is availing the right benefit. Okay, but the act further states that if someone does not have Aadhaar card, or for whatever reason Aadhaar authentication does not work, some alternate and viable means of identification may be offered to such person. Okay, now we'll see section 9. Section 9 of the Act clearly states that Aadhaar by itself will not confer any right of proof of citizenship or domicile. So we have been talking about this since the beginning of this chapter, that Aadhaar is a proof of residence, it is not a proof of citizenship. Section 9 of this Act clearly specifies this, that it is only a proof of your residence or your identity. It is not a proof of your citizenship or domicile. So it ensures that the provisions of this Act are not misused for these. Okay, like to confer citizenship on anyone, to confer domicile on anyone. Section 29 of Aadhaar Act talks about permits and puts some restriction on sharing of data, information. What are the kind of information that can be shared? Well, Aadhaar has in all three information mainly. One is your demographic detail, second is your biometric detail, third is your core biometric detail. Apart from this, there's your Aadhaar number, etc. So section 29 only allows sharing of data by authority of a law. However, core biometric details cannot be shared. Thus the Act puts more emphasis, more concern towards securing any individual's core biometric details. Okay. Now, section 31 of Aadhaar Act talks about updating of the Aadhaar information. So it fixes the responsibility on the Aadhaar number holder to update any change in their demographic or biometric detail. Okay, they must contact the nearest Aadhaar center and get their information updated. Okay, the procedure for how to update this information is given in the regulations of Aadhaar. Okay, so basically section 31 may, if your biometric detail, or like you've changed your address, you have underwent surgery, plastic surgery of your face because you're from a Saas Bahu serial, So in that case, you need to contact UIDAI and get your details updated. Okay. Section 32 of the Act allows retention of data for a particular period. Okay. This period is covered by the regulations of the Aadhaar Act. Okay. At present, it is set at 5 years. So once an agency obtains your Aadhaar information, they can keep your data, retain your data for 5 years. Okay. Before we move on to the next features, let me just ask you, what's the difference between the regulations under Aadhaar and the provisions of this Act, like these sections? Okay, so basically, this Act has been passed by the Parliament. To change anything which is written in this Act, you need to put an amendment and get it passed by the Parliament again. So, for example, if you want to allow sharing of core biometric information under Aadhaar, you need to amend section 29. Okay, for that you'll have to pass an amendment bill to Aadhaar Act in the Parliament. However, regulations of Aadhaar are directly under control of executive. Okay, they are the prerogative of executive. It is the executive who will change these as per need. Okay, who is executive? The government, the Council of Ministers, the UIDAI secretary. So they can change the regulation as they deem fit. Okay, so if say in future UIDAI wants to increase the retention period to 10 years, it can do so just by an executive order. Okay, it does not need to put any bill in the parliament. Okay, similarly, if UIDAI wants to change the procedure of how to update your Aadhaar information, it can do so. It is its own prerogative. Okay, so regulations are easier to change than the Act. Now, Section 33 of Aadhaar Act deals with disclosure of data in certain cases. Okay, this section is independent of Section 29. By independent, I mean that any provision of Section 29 will not apply to Section 33. Okay, these are some special cases when Aadhaar data can be disclosed. For example, Section 33, subclause 1 says, by order of court not inferior to that of district judge, after giving the individual an opportunity to be heard, their Aadhaar data can be disclosed. That means if in certain case a district judge or a higher court orders that your Aadhaar data needs to be disclosed, okay, then your Aadhaar data will be disclosed, provided you, that is the aggrieved whose data is to be disclosed, has been given an opportunity to be heard. By heard, to present their case that why their data shouldn't be disclosed in that particular case. Okay. And Section 33(2) deals with the special situation of national security. So in the interest of national security, an officer not below the rank of Joint Secretary can order disclosure of someone's Aadhaar data. Section 47 of Aadhaar Act gives sole power to the UIDAI to file a complaint in a court for violation of any provision under this Act. This means that if someone, be it a private individual or someone from the Aadhaar ecosystem, if they violate any of the provision of this Act, for example, if they retain the data for a period longer than what has been stipulated by the regulation, or if they access the Aadhaar data repository illegally,
UIDAI can file a complaint against them. Okay, this power is only with the UIDAI to file the complaint. Section 57 has been one of the most debated section of this act because it allowed state, that is the central government, the state government, as well as private players, be it an individual or a corporate body, to use Aadhaar for authentication purposes, either by law or by a contractual agreement. Okay, so this is the provision which empowered the telecom companies such as Airtel or the banks to mandatorily ask for your Aadhaar to provide you the services. Okay, and finally, Section 59 of Aadhaar Act gives retrospective effect to this legislation. That is, it creates a legal fiction that Aadhaar Act has been in force since its very inception, that is in 2009. Now we'll discuss the issues related to the Aadhaar Act. We'll first start with the issues that are directly related to the provisions of this Act, and then we'll move on to some other issues. So first of all, Section 2G and J. If you remember, these sections talked about biometric information and core biometric information. Now, the section read as photographs, fingerprints, iris scan, and any other attributes as may be specified by regulation. So the part any other attributes as may be specified by the regulation leaves the definition open-ended. That means that by regulation, any other biometric attributes, for example, your DNA, your dental print, can be included under Aadhaar. Okay, so this might lead to violation of privacy. It also might lead to DNA profiling. Okay, Section 31 talked about the responsibility of the Aadhaar holder to update Aadhaar data if any of it changes. Okay, so data like demographic detail, they are cognizant. That means you are aware when they are changing. So demographic details includes your address, your name. So of course you'll know if you're changing your residence. Okay. Now when it comes to biometric information, more often than not, you will not realize when they change. Okay. It may change due to any rigorous physical activity or due to any disease. Okay. So, and you will realize it for the most part when you are going for Aadhaar authentication, because at present that is the only system, mainly the only system where we go for biometric authentication. Okay, so that means if your biometric detail has changed and it does not match the details that are with the database, you will not be able to avail the benefits under Aadhaar, which will lead to inconvenience. Okay, even updating the biometric details will require you to furnish proof of your identification. Okay, and it is up to UIDAI to accept your claim. Okay, so this whole structure might lead to some inconvenience, especially to manual laborers. Now, Section 47 of the Act gave sole power to UIDAI to file any complaint in a court against violation of any of the provisions of this Act. The issue with this is it does not give the power to file complaint for encroachment of one's private data, okay, for any aggrieved individual. That means if your Aadhaar data has been misused or has been accessed by someone who is not authorized to do so, you cannot approach the court. Okay. So this provision infringes upon your right to privacy as well as your right to constitutional remedies against violation of the fundamental rights. And Section 57 allowed private individuals or a corporate body to use Aadhaar data even for a contractual agreement. Okay, we live in a time of big data. Data is defining everything. Okay, it has every company is trying to mine your digital footprint to understand what you want, what you need in a better way. Okay, for example, like if you're talking about going on some vacation, next time you open your Facebook or your Instagram, you see ads of hotels in that location. This is the level of intrusion that is already there in our personal life. Okay. Now, if a corporate body acquires our biometric detail, acquires our demographic detail, it will lead to even greater commercial exploitation. So this is one criticism against Section 57 of the Aadhaar Act. And now some other issues with Aadhaar Act. Okay. The biggest one, which has created a huge ruckus, is passing of this act as money bill. Okay. Now, passing of this act as money bill bypasses Rajya Sabha. Okay. Even if Rajya Sabha proposes any amendment, the government may refuse it. Okay. If the bill is passed by Lok Sabha, it means it has passed. Okay. So in this case, the bigger issue was that according to many parties, Aadhaar bill is not a money bill because it deals with many other provisions apart from just dealing with the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, and finally, UIDAI itself said that the system checks for fraudulent behavior at the delivery end, which means that the enrollment stage is open to misuse, abuse. Okay, and this has been evident by so many cases. There have been fake Aadhaar cards created, and recently 50,000 employees working at the enrollment stage have been fired for not following proper procedure. Okay, so these were the major issues with Aadhaar. In the next video, we will be discussing Aadhaar case, which is a landmark case now. Okay, thank you everyone.